I've been using Claude to scale over 30 e-commerce brands in the last 30 days, and after making $9.8 million collectively, I figured out a strategy you can implement right now that lets you hack the Google Ads algorithm and get it on your side. And the exact strategy I'm about to go over can be found inside this doc which I have created, which you can get access to by just commenting the word Claude down below. But Claude is an entire beast of its own that allows you to basically automate a lot of different features, a lot of different factors, which might have required you to have professional Google Ads knowledge previously. And the main thing I want to note before I actually go over this doc right here is getting to this level of scale with Google Ads, it's not going to be automated in any way, shape, or form. And there's no magic trick, no magic command which you can go inside Claude and give to it, which will allow you to bypass working with somebody that actually knows how Google Ads works, at least at this point of time. But there's a lot of different things which can be cut in half to add more efficiency to your scale and make Claude work better. And this is exactly where this entire doc, this entire strategy comes into play. Because the first step of making Claude work for your brand, at least with Google Ads, is to create something called the Google Ads Senior Analyst, which is going to be the analyzer of your Google Ads strategy. And this will essentially, over time, evolve into something that gives you exact recommendations, exact direction on what the next best step needs to be. But that's the distinguishment between somebody that's a professional versus something like this, which is your senior analyst. This is only as good as analyzing your current strategy and giving you insights into what to do next. But before I show you how to implement all of this, there's a few things which this analyst will take care of you moving forward if you implement it in the best possible manner. Starting off with essentially allowing you to create 5 master prompts, which I'll show you exactly how it's done, which will allow you to audit your accounts on a weekly basis, give you exact insights into the specifics as to how the campaigns or ad groups are performing in terms of what's spending and what's converting, what the budget pacing it looks like, what the quality score is for your account, which by the way, on a normal account level, you don't really have access to, but these are internal things which Claude can give you access to. Beyond that, it can do things such as search term mining, giving you negative keywords, what keywords you should be spending money on versus where you should not be spending money on, things such as the winning ad examples, winning ad angles even. It will give you the exact top performing headlines, the top performing description, so on and so forth, based on certain insights, which you can then go further into and create more around those. It can even go into exacts such as the budget reallocation, ROAS projections, and most important of all, competitor gap analysis. But the key to making all of this work is to do it on a consistent week-by-week basis and provided as much information as possible through custom CSV files, which this doc gives you exact directions on. But in order to get started with any of this, the first major step for you to complete is to essentially go into Claude, and by going to the project section on the left-hand side, start off by creating a brand new project. This project is something that you will go ahead and name Google Ads Senior Analyst followed by your brand name. So for example, if your brand name is XYZ, you would just write it in parentheses XYZ. And in this situation, you're going to put a solid description for it. Ideally, I recommend something along the lines of, this is our senior analyst for our brand with Google Ads. As simple as that. That's the main goal of this. It's to basically be your analyzer. Again, not to implement all of these things for you. And this is something you want to be very cautious of, because as you can see here, certain Claude versions are now banned by the US government due to specifications. And you want to be very careful as to how you actually use Claude. But with that done, the biggest kind of thing that you will have to do in order for this to work for your brand is to paste the custom instructions below, which are designed to train this new project that you just created to become the best possible version of your Google Ads Senior Analyst that is custom made for your brand and its desires and needs. So what that means is you will actually go in here and change all of the specific things in here, which again, you can just copy it and paste it in a Google Doc or anywhere external, and just go in and edit all of these specifics right here, which are relevant to your brand individually, because this is the only way you can get Claude to work for you. And I already went ahead and did this for a sample. If we go right here and paste it in, this is a specific sample of how I would do it personally. So industry, in this situation, we did, for example, the automotive industry for Porsche car parts and accessories. The key here is to be as specific as possible. And then you can go in further details, giving it the monthly budget, the target CPA, target ROAS, primary conversion. Most important of all is the key key USPs. What differentiates your brand from the other competitors in your market and in your industry? Again, you want to put all of that competitor research, all of that industry research you may have done previously into this prompt right here, because the better this is and the more aligned this is to your ideal prospect and audience, the more this is going to work for your brand. But once you go ahead and do that, then go ahead and submit it within this new chat. And after a few seconds, Claude will internalize all of the specific notes you gave it to then come up with an ideal persona of how it's going to think as your Google Ads senior analyst. And as we see right here, it's acknowledging setup framework while flagging missing data files, so on and so forth. And one of the main key ideas within the prompt is to provide actual CSV files, which obviously I didn't provide here, but that's something you want to do with the relevant details of your brand, the customer details, so on and so forth, because that's the only way that it's going to provide output that is relevant to what you are looking for. But once you do that, then Claude should be able to give you specific ideas of exactly what it needs, how critical it is, whether it's most priority or not, of what it needs to then further help you and become your senior analyst at the best possible skill level. And that's essentially the starting point for what you need done for the senior analyst to then become a part of your team and something you need to progressively improve on a week-to-week basis, ideally every single day. Because the thing is, what most brand owners don't realize, the more you chat with this, the more information you provide it, the more it stores and extracts inputs from it so that it can improve its output. This is what we have seen across all of the 30 brands which we are currently handling Google Ads for, which, by the way, if you run a brand making $50,000 a month or more in revenue, you need some extra help scaling your brand profitably and consistently to the next level with Google Ads, scan the QR code on the screen or click the link in the comment section below to directly schedule a call with me, and let's see how we can potentially work together to make all of this happen. But once you have set up, as I like to say, the brain of Claude, then it's all about the nitty-gritty details. And again, highly recommend before you continue, provide all of the CSV experts to what it's asking for, even the priority level that's at medium, because the more data you provide, the better it will perform. But from that point on, it's all about basically following along with this doc, providing these specific prompts for the weekly account audit, and it will literally tell you what to upload and the end result of what this prompt will put out essentially. The prompt number 2 is for search term mining and negative keywords, and all of these are nitty-gritty details which I don't want to really go over in this video because it's as simple as copying and pasting on a regular basis. But what I do want you to understand is that this system only works if you run it consistently. So unfortunately, even though this is as automated as possible, it's not something you can just do once and then forget about it. It needs to be done in a proper scheduled manner. For example, on a Monday, this is how we do it for the brands we work with. You want to run prompt 1, which is an account audit, which essentially is a full account health where it tells you the spend issues, the dollar amount issues, which you can deal with for the entirety of the week. Tuesday is when you run the search terms report where you get that negative keyword list ready to import and the monthly savings estimate. Then Wednesday is when you get different ad angles. Then Thursday is either prompt 4 or prompt 5, the budget reallocation or competitor gaps. What you want to do is take this with a grain of salt as a starting point to then ideally guide you towards the right path, guide you towards the right strategy. And Friday, the last day of the week, is when you implement specific things that it provides you in terms of the top 3 actions from Monday's audit. So whatever it told you on Monday, that needs to be done based on the audit and all of the prompts you ran throughout the week. On Fridays, when you implement the specific changes. And here's a few key pointers for you which will help you make this as automated as possible. Number 1 is you always want to provide it with the following sentence. Make sure to provide instructions that you do in the simplest format possible. Because from my experience, what I've come to understand is Claude, if you don't provide this specific sentence, will make its output seem so complex that sometimes it can go right over your head and you just won't understand exactly what it wants you to do. So this takes care of it. And the next most important thing you want to do is to ensure that you tell it to also be sure to mitigate any security risks that may be prevalent throughout the audits and inputs I provide to you. Essentially, what we're trying to do here is to mitigate any security risk, any breach of the data that we have, the customer CSV file, so on and so forth, from the back and forth we are doing with Claude. This is a very small risk, but again, you want to mitigate it to as close to 0% as possible, because the last thing you want is your security information getting spread out in the internet without your permission. But the next things you want to do is to use dollar impact numbers to build your weekly priority list. Meaning, just because Claude gives you a certain output doesn't mean you should follow it step by step. You want to always look at the specific actionable steps Claude has given you and then understand which one of these steps will make me the most amount of money right now, not 10 days later, not 5 years later, right now. And based on that is how you want to approach Claude's execution list, essentially. But from there, you want to also cross-check the high impact findings manually the first few times, because again, this is a robot. It's going to make mistakes. You don't want to expect it to be perfect all the time. So make sure to manually check within the first month at least, because over time, as you give it more inputs, it will become smarter. Because what you want to understand is after 2 or 3 runs, you will automatically start trusting the output. And keep in mind, if Claude misses something, tell it in the same conversation, because it's going to store all of that data on the project level. And any information you provided within that same chat will allow it to recalibrate and next time not make that mistake. Because there's a lot of mistakes that can actually kill the results, starting off with the first mistake, which is vague prompts with no business context. Avoid this, because the more vague your prompts are, the harder the time it will have to understand what you're looking for and then get you to that output that you truly want. Always include your target metrics, whether it's target CPA, ROAS, etc., with whatever inputs you're providing to Claude. In addition, don't provide it wrong data ranges on the CSV. Always use the data range specified in each prompt, because the more inaccurate your data is, the further away you get from actual actionable steps. Third thing is to not treat Claude's output as the gospel without actually checking the numbers, because again, it's a robot, it's gonna make mistakes. You don't wanna pretend that it's perfect every single time. You want to instead run prompts in a regular chat that's not related to your specific project if you need to, because any input or any prompt you provide within that project that is completely irrelevant to your overall project will derail the algorithm, will take it towards an output which is not going to be beneficial for your brand at all. And finally, don't upload CSVs with too many columns. The more concise, the more straightforward you keep your data, the better your Google Ads strategy will be when it comes to Claude. But with that being said, here's an entire checklist of exactly what you need to do right now, which you can again find within this doc right here by commenting the word Claude below. But again, if you run a brand making $50,000 a month or more in revenue, you need some extra help scaling profitably and consistently with Google Ads to the next level, scan the QR code on the screen or click the link in the description below to directly schedule a call with me, and let's see how we can potentially work together to make all of this happen.